Welcome to A Slice of Sound, the podcast where we chat to some of our favourite musicians and producers. Today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Dutch producer and drummer DESH. I stumbled upon her music late last year, discovering a series of singles she'd released with frequent collaborator Delaney. Since then, I've been on a binge listening spree through her entire back catalogue. However, not content with just being an incredible producer, she's also an extraordinary live drummer, touring with artists like Merol and Joya Mooi and making waves on the festival circuit this summer. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. First and foremost, how are you doing? How have you been?
I've been doing good, man. The weather is getting a bit colder, so I feel like I'm always getting into a little winter dip at that point. But I've been doing good. Thanks for having me on. How have you been?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, thanks for joining. Same thing, really. The weather here is, it's getting really cold and wet and rainy. I'm sure we have the same experience with weather in the Netherlands and England.
Yes.
But yeah, so for the first part of the interview, I wanted to get into your influences, how you got into music, and how you got to where you are today. So growing up, can you remember what sort of music you were listening to in your house? What was being played around the house?
Definitely. That's such a clear memory for me because my dad owns a little music school and it was in the house. So there would always be music. So I was listening to a bunch of different things. I remember that I was really young and I was into rock music at first.
Okay.
But then, my parents would listen to a lot of Anita Baker, but also they would listen to Coolio. So many different things, but always more into the soul, funk era, disco era, I would say. A lot of Chic, Earth, Wind and Fire.
Sure, classics.
And then also when I was in school, I remember the kids in my class were super into R&B and hip hop. So in our breaks, we would just listen to music. So both in school and in the house, there was always a lot of music going on, lots of different music going on. But I've always been more into funk, soul, neo soul, that kind of stuff.
Okay, that was what you were kind of drawn to from everything you were listening to then.
Definitely, yeah.
And I read, I was doing a little bit of a deep dive, trying to find out as much about you as I can. And I read an interview that you did with Stereofox that your dad ran a music school and was also a talented musician.
Yes.
Was taking up an instrument something that you were encouraged to do from a really young age then?
Definitely. But my parents never pressured me into it. It was just her. So I don't really remember this, but my dad told me that he just put down pianos everywhere, little keyboards and stuff.
Okay.
The house. And he would just tell me every time you walk past the keyboard or piano, just play a little something. It doesn't matter. Play a little something. And so he figured out that I had pretty good ears because if I would listen to a song that I really liked, I could just figure it out by ear at a really young age. So my first instrument was actually the piano. And then he was organizing these band classes and he got together all these musicians and they would play songs together. So I think I was 3 or 4 and I would just join them and I would sing or play the keys. It's so funny. It's so funny because I was so little and I was just doing it and I was really enjoying that. I do really remember that. So he would also host gigs for his students in bars, whatever. And I think I was 6 when I played my first gig at a bar.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Obviously, but that was on keys. Yeah.
Right. And in a bar, you're just playing keys. It takes a lot of confidence. I suppose when you're younger, you don't even think about that sort of thing.
You don't think about it. When I look back at it, I was never scared or nervous. Obviously, when I got older, playing gigs, I got nervous because you realize what's going on more. But when you're a kid, you're so carefree, and I was just having fun with it. So I always had a great relationship with music, also when I was little,
Nice. And Whereabouts was it that you grew up? Was that in Rotterdam as well?
No, that was in Zoetermeer, which is close to The Hague, which is a big, I would say The Hague is one of the bigger like jazz cities in the Netherlands. And it's also where my dad went to the conservatory. So very traditional jazz. But Zoetermeer, honestly, there was not much going on with music, nothing crazy. So yeah, that's also why I felt like I had to get out of it. I've been in Rotterdam now for 4 years. Yeah, exactly 4 years now. And that was just a necessary move for me to like grow as a person and a musician, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Because there's a lot to do in Rotterdam as well when it comes to music.
Yeah, no, it seems like
seems
like a great place to be. And I guess, and it's so close to Amsterdam as well.
Yeah, it's close, and we got a lot of homies here, a lot of musicians, but also a lot of producers. So yeah, it's perfect for me. I really love it here.
Nice. And you were saying that you first started playing, the first instrument you started playing was piano. But now I guess your main instrument is drums. What was the reason for like switching from piano to drums, and were there other instruments like in the middle that like bridged that?
I don't know why I switched to drums exactly. I had access to great drum sets, so I would just go down and start making noise, honestly.
Right, okay.
Just like smacking shit, basically, just enjoying that. And yeah, and I remember my dad had like a little drum computer, and he would like play a beat on the thing, and then he would just tell me to repeat it. So yeah, like I can read music at this point, not that well, but I've always done everything by ear. So yeah, and I remember my dad just putting me in front of the TV, and I think he had a DVD of Rage Against the Machine, and he put on Killing in the Name of, and he was like, "You should play this on drums." So that was one of the first songs that I played on drums, like super hard and rough. I would really smack the drums when I was a kid. I mean, I kind of still do, but yeah. then I just made that move to drums, and you know, my dad was still hosting those gigs for his students, so I would play drums and keys at those gigs. And at one point, I just played drums because I also feel like, obviously, it was special to see a little girl behind drums, because at that point that was really not going on that much. Now you see it a bit more. So yeah, I also think that my dad was like, okay, this is something unique, you know, so let's just keep this moving. And I still play keys, but not on gigs, you know.
Yeah.
Just
and
for fun.
Would you say drums are your favorite to play? Do you prefer playing drums than keys?
Well, when people ask me this question, I always tell them that I would have been a better key player if I would have focused more on that, because the keys are such a melodic instrument, and the drums can be too, obviously, but it's very rare that you play a drum beat and somebody can guess the exact song. You know, of course you have a few like classic drum breaks, but with keys you can really play a song and people start singing along or whatever. And I just feel like my ears are very melodic in a way, if that makes sense. So I'm very happy with playing drums, but I wish I would have studied keys better, so that I could have considered that as a main instrument as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, from that point, like, I guess, so you're playing drums and you're playing keys and stuff. At what point from there did you then get interested in like producing and recording your own music? Was that like something that was happening all the way along?
Definitely not. That's definitely more recent, because growing up playing gigs, I would only play cover gigs. And what I would really enjoy about the cover gigs is that people know the songs and can sing along. And it turns into this great vibe where everybody's partying. And that's what I really grew up on, playing gigs. So I was always like, I don't want to play my own music, or I don't want to write my own music because people will not know it. And then there's not going to be a vibe at the gig. That was really how I was thinking. And then at one point, as I got older, I went to this, I remember it very well. I went to this jam session in Amsterdam called Amsterdam.
Okay.
And that's where I met a lot of people that are still in the scene, these days, like people like Soulfood Horns, Jasper,
Sure.
even Nathan, I think. Yeah, Ephraim, he was there too. So our first interaction was basically playing music on a stage before we even started talking. But then we got to know each other better, and I could see like a Jasper already releasing his own music and started listening to that. That was on Chill Hop as well. And just started listening to it. And then I was like, whoa, I think Delaney and I would make some fire tunes.
Right.
So that was 2018 or 19. So I got Logic, and I was very blessed that all these people from the community would, they would teach me how to produce. They would teach me what they know. So I'm very lucky that those people were willing to do that, like really take me under their wing and show me how, you should work your software and how you can like write melodies or whatever, but also the other part of it, pitching to labels and how to connect with labels and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I've really loved it from the beginning, and I've always enjoyed it and just made a lot of hours and just dug into it. And especially when coronavirus hit, all my gigs were gone. So I was just sitting at home. So that was really, really the time where I was like, okay, I'm going to make my hours and just, try to get as good as I can, because I also knew that I could make a living out of that. And that was definitely also something at that point, with not having any work, where I was like really motivated to just make music, so I was doing that all day. And obviously I live with Ephraim in one house, so it was we call it the house of beats. And that's really what it is. We were just making music all day. So, and then it started going really well, so that motivates you even more, of course. And
true.
Kind of grew into it.
It's really it is very addictive. I feel like, I guess you have to have a certain sort of personality type for it, but I can remember as well, just at times just starting something and just forgetting that you're doing it and doing it for hours and hours and hours.
Hours and hours.
But you also mentioned, you mentioned Delaney there, who I mentioned in the intro as well. So did you guys, I'm guessing you guys met gigging. What was it you said there that you thought you guys would make some good music? What is it about that relationship that you think works so well?
Well, Delaney and I, indeed, we met at a gig, a rehearsal for a gig. And the funny thing, no, that's actually not true. We met at a bar, and also our first interaction was also playing on stage. He was playing the house band, and I came up for one song, and we played the live arrangement for Ain't Nobody from Shaka Khan. I never forget it. It was so good. And then, we got asked for the same gig, I think like a month later. And it's funny because it was a super shitty gig. And we just really didn't enjoy it, but we enjoyed each other's company. And, especially when you gig together, you get to spend so much time together. You really get to know each other. And Delaney and I just really grew up on the same music. So we would just listen to music together. And that was so much fun. We still do that, of course. But, we just really got along well. We had the same influences, same taste. We were in the same scene. So we just became really good friends. And most memorable to me is one time we did like a 12-hour road trip to pick up a guitar for him, and we got stuck in a snowstorm. Okay. So we spent so much time in the car. We were just listening to music, so much different music. But yeah, I don't know. We're just kind of the same person when it comes to music. So
right.
Sometimes it just connects with people, especially if you collaborate a lot, which I do also with other musicians. Sometimes it's so easy to work with somebody, and sometimes it's a bit harder. And when me and Delaney get together, it's just like, yeah, let's have fun, let's do it, and we'll see whatever comes out. And we've also have a lot of music that we've never released, so it's not like everything we make is going out there, but we make a lot of music still, in the same room as well, which is nice.
Right. Yeah. Does he live in Rotterdam as well?
He always lived in Amsterdam, but now he lives in Purmerend, which is like 15 minutes from Amsterdam.
Oh, okay.
So
pretty close.
We try to link up, I would say like at least once a month, work on music, and we go to concerts together, and
Right. And would you say that you like both have like different strengths that like elevates the music kind of thing?
Definitely. Delaney is, first of all, like an amazing musician, because he doesn't just play keys. He plays like everything. He plays the bass. He's now practicing trumpet. He plays saxophone.
Oh, wow.
So he's really and he's just really into that. And he's also really into making sounds and like figuring out what will sound best. Or a lot of the times I come in with like some sort of chord progression, and then Delaney just lays it down with his adds to it. He's very jazz, obviously, as well. So
sure.
Just as a musician, he's great. And I would say we just have a good workflow. We're very open with the communication. Like if we don't like something, we can also let each other know, and we go over mixes together. But I've also been trying to dig into like sounds and effects, and sometimes Delaney is like, maybe you should add a tambourine here, and I'm like, maybe we can do a little arpeggiator here or whatever. So I just feel like we complement each other really well.
Right, nice.
Yeah.
And a little bit earlier on, you said that when you were learning, you started on Logic Pro. Are you still on Logic now?
Yes, I'm still on finally. Logic. Oh yeah, you are too.
Everyone's on Ableton.
People always hate on me. Yeah, always. Everybody's like, you should switch to Ableton. And I get it, I guess. I still want to learn Ableton.
Yeah.
But also I've spent so much time figuring out Logic that at this point I just want to make music right now, and I understand how it works. So still in Logic. Yes.
Yeah. So many times I've been like, because I'll see videos of someone doing something in Ableton. I think, oh, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
But then I go on to Ableton, and if I can't do something which I could do in Logic instantly, I'm like, no, I'm going straight back to Logic every time.
I feel that. And also Logic stock plugins are pretty good.
I think really good.
Ableton plugins are also pretty good, probably, because a lot of my favorite producers, they use Ableton. But like you said, if I know how to do something in Logic, then I just want to make music right now. And I'm sure at some point I'll dive into Ableton for fun.
That's it. To be fair, they all do the same thing. Yeah. Once you've learned one, well, I guess it's best to stick with it. But you're using Logic, and
yes.
Are you doing everything inside the box, or do you have lots of like hardware synths or other things like that? at all?
I personally don't really own that much hardware. I mean, I've got a few keyboards. Of course, I got some drums and all that. But Delaney does, for example. So we switch. Sometimes I go to his place. We work with his gear, and sometimes we just work here with my gear. But so he's definitely a man of a lot of hardware.
Right.
And some producers I work with also own a lot of hardware. So I would say it's a mix.
Okay.
And obviously I use like some plugins. Recently I've been really digging into that universal audio bundle, which is great. Got great plugins, great sounds. Because I've also been focused on learning how to mix proper, so that's also something I've been focused on. So it's a mix, honestly. Yeah, it depends on who I work with and what I'm feeling like, and all that. Yeah.
Right. And I was thinking, actually, do you record a lot of your drums live?
Not that much as people would expect, because what I really like about production is that I'm in charge of the sounds and picking the sounds, and I do layer breaks and all that, like I will take a break and then layer it. But I just really like sound selection, like being good at picking out the right sounds. So that's also a mix, like hi-hats are often live recorded, but then I will chop it up, or and then I will pick a snare out of. I just got Creative's sample pack. I will pick a snare from his pack, just tweak it, and then layer that on top with a snare coming from another sample pack. So yeah, because I also play live so much, and I do use electronics and triggers, but it's just, it's one drum kit. And with production, I feel like I have endless options when it comes to sounds. And that's what true. I really enjoy about the production. So not as much as people would think, I'd say.
Okay. And when you're like starting a track off, like what is I'm guessing it could change over time and stuff, but is there something that you normally start with? Is it maybe drums or a melody, a sample, or something else?
I would say the past few months, it's been chords, samples, melodies, just setting a vibe. Because, I don't know, I just want to set a vibe and just really like the chords. Because then the drum idea always comes more easy to me, I've figured out. So over the past years, I used to always start with drums, but sometimes I just couldn't place them in context. Sometimes I would be like, oh my God, these drums sound terrible. But then I would play some chords over it and they would sound great.
Right.
So now that I'm starting with chords and, I try to layer them with samples and effects and all that. And then I do, like when I feel good about that part, I'll start the groove. And then a lot of the times something nice comes out, but it took me years to figure out that flow, and I'm also sure that it will change in the upcoming months. I will start doing something totally different to start with. So, but for now, definitely melodics.
Yeah, I'm the same. Mainly melodies. Like when I see people starting with drums, I'm always like, how'd you do that? Like, I can never do it.
It's hard to like listen to just drums still. Like I feel that, definitely.
Yeah. And do you like, I always wonder about different people, like do you start like a lot of ideas that don't get finished, or
hell yeah,
one of these people that
yes, a lot. My goal for myself is always to make a beat every day, no matter what I'm doing. Even if I get home at 4 a.m. and I'll spend 10 minutes, I want to make a beat every day. And sometimes I do 4 or 5. And a lot of the times it's trash. I'm not gonna lie. It's just trash. And that's fine, because I don't know. It would really get to my head if I would only be making trash. But now I try to look at it as, I learned something. I spent time working on my craft, so I never will get worse by doing that.
Right.
But I was going through my hard drive this week, and I think I've got hundreds of ideas and beats and a lot. So a lot doesn't ever get to see the daylight. Yeah.
Right. And do you ever, like you said, you're going through your beats the other day, do you ever go back through the ideas? And then one thing I like to do is go back through, and then you'll hear one certain part of a beat and you'll be like, oh, this is a cool idea. Let me take this and build something around that.
I do open the projects, but honestly, I never take the idea and finish it. But I also feel like that's because, oh my God, what I was making 2 years ago, if I listen to that, I'm like, this is so bad. It's poorly mixed. My project file is a mess, because it's important to me to have some overview. I feel like nowadays I really try to keep my projects clean just by labeling and using colors and markers and whatever. And a lot of it is just such a mess, and it sounds so bad that I will not delete it, but I will never use it. But I do really enjoy listening to it because, I can hear how much better I got. And that makes me excited for next year, for example. If you can see so much progress in your work and music, that's a great thing to me. So
for sure,
I would just never show them to the world. I would also never let anybody listen. But that's okay, Also, projects that me and Delaney worked on, a lot of it sounded so bad in the beginning, and it's totally fine. I'm super cool with that,
Yeah.
So
we're gonna have to get Nathan to steal your hard drive, and so you can listen to those old beats.
Nathan heard every single one of them. Every single one.
Through the walls, probably.
Also, definitely. And he's such a good dude, because he has been such a great support to me over the past years. I really want to shout him out because he still listens to every mix I send him, and he masters all my songs, and
nice.
He gives me so much tips and feedback, and he's definitely a big reason as to where I am today. So shout out for him.
Yeah, I'll make sure he hears this.
Yes.
And other than Delaney, you've also collaborated with lots of other talented artists. What I wanted to know is how do you find the people you're working with, and how do you decide to collaborate with people? With who? How do you decide who you're collaborating with? Sorry.
Well, I think coming from a live background, that's also pretty much how I approach my music or my beats, because I do always collaborate, and I just feel like that's because I want to make something work with a team, and everybody has their strengths and all that. So obviously, social media has been a big influence when it comes to me finding people or people finding me. I've had producers, musicians in my DM that I really look up to, that, they're just like, do you want to work? Or I like your music or whatever. And I'm always a little hesitant with reaching out to people and asking them if they want to work. But of course it happens, and I've also learned that if I'm reaching out to somebody to work, I'm coming with something. I'm not going to be like, yo, do you want to work? Yeah, let's do it. And then just never get back to each other, which also, happened a lot, obviously. But I always come with something, a folder of drums, like at least 3 loops, so they can pick something. And if they don't fuck with it, it's also totally fine. But over the past few years, I've just been very fortunate to hang out with a lot of cool people that are also great musicians. But I feel like the key to a good collaboration is also friendship in a way.
For sure.
all the people I collaborate with are real homies that I also hang out with or travel with, and we don't just do music, but they're also still great musicians. So, but to me, it's important that I can fight with somebody. You can be a great producer, a great musician, but if you're an asshole, I just don't want to work with you straight up.
Yeah.
I will not do it or will not do it again, So that's important to me.
Yeah. But say, that makes perfect sense. Say Herbie Hancock was a massive arsehole, but he was like, oh, I really would love to work on some music with you. Would you be like, no?
Of course not. Although I think Herbie Hancock he seems like such a humble...
Yeah, he seems lovely.
Such a humble guy. But no, of course not. But if I would work with him and I would have a super shitty day at the studio, then it honestly doesn't matter to me who you are.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
I've been around great musicians that are assholes. And because I've been around that, I've learned early on that I don't want to be like that. So yeah, I don't know. Of course, I would work with Herbie Hancock or whoever. But yeah, if the studio day is terrible, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's so important to enjoy yourself and also just feel comfortable with people and their actions,
100%.
So yeah, that's a tough one, obviously, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm only joking. So one last question before we move on to kind of talking about touring a little bit. So if you had the chance to executive produce an album for just one artist or with one artist in the world, dead or alive, who would you choose and why? Tough question.
It's a tough question, but I feel like I would really, really love to work with Terrace Martin.
Okay.
For example, because he's such a strong inspiration to me. And just like what I have with Delaney, where I feel like we have very similar taste and influences, I think I would have the same with Terrace Martin.
Sure.
I think we would be best friends, obviously. Yeah, and one of my heroes is Quincy Jones. He's such a legend. I think it's for a lot of people it's the same. But if I would have to produce an album for somebody, I would definitely go with D'Angelo. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. I feel like I've asked that question to so many people, and I reckon about a third of the responses have been D'Angelo.
Oh man,
everyone loves D'Angelo.
It's so cliche or standard or however you want to call it, but for me, D'Angelo and Erykah Badu, both of them, they are huge inspirations to me, and I listen to their music, so much. And I think when I work with Delaney, you can hear a lot of that coming back as well. Yeah.
Right.
So, but I get that everybody's saying that they're just, they're the best.
I mean, he's a legend. And I think it helps as well that he goes away for a long time and leaves everyone waiting for that music.
Where are you, man? For real. I miss D'Angelo.
Yeah, he'll just release an album out of nowhere and everyone will
hope so. I would go crazy. Yeah, because I like how he, also he develops his sound in a way. So he's always trying something different still, and that's also something I appreciate about musicians,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah, so for this last bit, I'm going to move on to touring. I was looking through your Instagram the other day, looking at all the videos of you playing.
Yes.
All of the amazing festivals throughout the summer. How's it been? How have you found it, balancing being on the road and working on your own music at the same time?
It's been very hard. I think I've been very hard on myself because I had this illusion where I thought that being on the road and playing all these amazing gigs would get me so inspired to make music. And then when I would get home and try to make music, I was honestly just tired and I didn't have the energy, and I should have just been taking time off. But, you know, I was like, no, I need to keep on going because I want to be great as DESH, and I want to be great as, the drummer for these artists. So it's been hard, but what I'm trying to do now, for example, right now, like this month, I had a lot of free time to work on my own music, so I just try to be as productive as I can be. And also, I'm not feeling guilty when I'm playing gigs that I'm not working on my own music, So I feel like next year will be better for me with balancing it and being less hard on myself. Because this was also the first time for me that I played so many gigs this year. It was,
Right.
I've always played gigs, but not in this capacity. So it was also new to me. And overall, I'm super happy with how it is going and how the summer went and how I'm doing with my own music. But that's also definitely because I just still put in a lot of time when maybe I should be taking some off time,
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's been rough and it's been amazing.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite gig from this summer at all? Is there one that like stands out for you?
Like, do you mean like one festival, one artist?
Yeah.
One festival. Lowlands was amazing, and that's a Dutch festival. I would say one of the biggest of the year. They have like an international lineup. It's so many people. It's really big, and I know that for Merol, the artist that I was playing with this summer, it was a huge goal of hers to play Lowlands. So it made it it made it really special for the whole team to be there and completing this goal with her together. So that was amazing. And Rock Werchter, we also did that one. And I know that festival because there's this one JC concert that I used to watch when I was a kid. It was JC at Rock Werchter, and I was obsessed with that. So when I heard we were playing that festival, I was just so excited, and the vibes were so on. People were going crazy. So, but every festival was, I don't think we didn't have any bad festivals. We really had a great run and got really lucky also with the people backstage, like let's not forget about all the people that make it happen. It's been amazing, really.
Yeah. And what's it like playing in front of that many people? Do you get nervous at all, or
no not anymore? I'm way more nervous when I'm playing in front of 100 people, way more nervous, and I will play shittier as well. So it's funny because we did a showcase, and I think it was for 200 people, very intimate. And I was so nervous, really. I was so nervous. And then we were at Lowlands, for example. I don't even know how many people that was, but it was a lot. And we were like, okay, let's do it. Let's have fun. Let's go. And also I have to say that obviously we're all wearing these in-ears. So we're kind of disconnected from the crowd. And then we do have a monitor guy that mixes in the ambience when it's needed, but it's only at particular moments, so.
Interesting.
So I'm never aware of the crowds. I see it, but I cannot really feel it because you're in your own world, you're in your own mix, so yeah. But obviously it's amazing and it gives you a lot of adrenaline and all that. But I don't really get nervous for big gigs, but for small gigs, yes.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously you've now played like a lot of live shows with different artists, and you've been playing live shows, like you said, since you were like 6. Have you got like any interest in the future of doing like live DESH shows?
Yes, definitely. But for now, I know I have to start doing it, but I know that it's gonna be such, a big workload. But there's more things I want to do. I also want to DJ. I think I
Okay.
would be a proper DJ. And what if I can combine that with just, having a little drum set next to me and also playing my own things and even playing things with a band. I mean, there have been instances where we got together with a band and would play our own songs live, our own beats live. I did a gig with Jasper in 2019 or something at a jazz cafe. And we were playing our own things live. Or, if you're just jamming with people. But definitely have the interest. And I also feel like it will happen.
Yeah.
In the future, when the time is right, Yeah. Because I do really enjoy playing for these artists and playing their music. Because with Merol, for example, I really enjoy our music. So it's not like I'm playing a gig and I'm like, oh my God, this music is so terrible. So because that happens sometimes, and you just do the gig, it pays really well or whatever. But with Merol, I just really enjoy all the people that I'm playing for right now, and
that's good.
A DESH set in the future, 100%. Yeah,
I'll look out for that. I'm sure that'll be amazing for sure. And before I let you go, what have you got? Actually, we've only got a couple of months left. I was going to say, what have you got left planned for the rest of the year, or what have you got planned for the next 6 months? Is there a lot of music coming? A lot of stuff on the way?
Yes, a lot of stuff on the way, definitely. I got a few more releases this year. I got one vocal release coming up.
Nice.
Yeah, not me singing, but Adia, great singer, really. Yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know each other, obviously. Great. She's amazing.
Yeah, we've done some stuff.
Also really connected with her, just getting along really well. And there's also 2 other amazing producers on that track, but I don't know if I can spill that yet. But yeah, so there's one vocal track coming up. I definitely want to do more with vocals. And next year for me, I was thinking about this last night actually, and I was like, okay, 2024 for me is going to be the year of full-length projects.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been working on an EP with Delaney, and I've been working on an album with Nico Harris, amazing jazz pianist from London. And I'm just really excited to share that and maybe start working with some vocalists as well. So lots of new music. I got a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yes.
And whereabouts can people find you on the internet? What are your social handles?
My socials, Instagram is DESH Drums. On Spotify, DESH, all capitals, every streaming platform. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I don't really do TikTok or anything yet, but you can find me on Instagram and you can listen to my music wherever you prefer.
Perfect. Yeah. So thank you very much for coming on the show. Everybody go and check out DESH's back catalogue. Like I was saying in the intro, there's so many amazing tracks on there. So go check her out and follow her on Instagram. But thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.